When I was in high school, my buddy told me that there was a rumor of a park on the far north side of my town, rumored to be haunted. It had been said that it had been built over an Indian burial ground, and during the old times, a certain race was executed there. Quite a bit. One day, during our last period of school, one of my buddies told me that we should all go down. Me, him, and 5 of our other friends. So, me being the wild adventurous type back then, I agreed. This will later prove to be a mistake, and you'll see why. I was in track at the time, but I decided to skip it because this sounded a lot more fun. As soon as the last period bell rang, we all scrambled to the meeting spot we had spoken of prior. We were all gonna get in our friend Tom's car. We were gonna try to squeeze all of us in it, and if we needed to take a second car, our friend Henry was available as well. We ended up needing 2 cars anyways because some girls wanted to join us last minute. I guess they wanted to be scared and cuddle up against us, I assumed. It's about a 30-minute drive to head down there, so on our way down there, once we were getting close enough, we stopped at the nearest gas station and bought energy drinks and a couple of snacks to keep our stamina up just in case. Once we start getting closer, my friend Tom starts to remind us of all the rumors that we may or may have not heard quite yet. I sorta think he's just doing this so the girls get spooked and cuddle up against us. He was, I guess, trying to help us out a little. The first rumor was that there was a certain slide named Devil's Slide. It was notorious for making you feel a certain way once you get to the top, giving you the urge to jump. The same goes for another cliff there named Devil's Hill, giving you that same urge, but I like to call it a calling to the void. The third rumor was that there was these flight of stairs that led all the way down to this cement pad where apparently Satanist rituals would take place. And apparently whenever you would walk down these stairs, say you counted 250 stairs going down, if you came back up, you would only count 50. The stairs were called the morphing stairs. I knew a lot of this stuff was exaggerated, but it didn't help that there was a lot of news headlines on the TV of murders and missing and found bodies taking place at this park, especially at night. Another factor I think my friends didn't realize is that it wasn't an unsafe part of the town, so we had to also worry not only about the paranormal, but real people. There was a lot of criminal activity that went on at this park, especially after dark. We finally find the entrance, and we turn into this small, narrow dirt road that leads us up this giant hill into the park. The trees look so ominous, and the night is extra dark. It was almost like the darkness surrounding this park was suctioning in any form of light that came into contact. The light from our headlights didn't even reach farther than a few inches away from the car. Everyone immediately started yelling at me to roll up the window. They seemed already so much more scared, which would make me even more scared. The girls were all screaming, and the guys were all laughing, nervously though. I think they were starting to think that they bit off more than they could chew. It was past midnight by this point, and we finally arrived to the first gate. There was almost a fork in the road. One side, the left side, would lead you to Devil's Hill, and on the right side, it would lead you to Devil's Playground and the stairs. So we decided to go to the right. Once we got to the main gate, we all had to get out of the car and park and just leave our cars there. The gate was locked, but there was a pretty big gap that would allow you to squeeze through it with ease. Being how late it was, the park was already closed, so we were technically trespassing by this point, and if a park ranger saw us, we would be in deep trouble. But we decided to take the risk anyways. After we all got through the gate, we proceeded to go to Devil's Park and see if the rumors were true. Once we get there, we proceed to climb all over it like little kids in the dark. We go down the slide and everything seems normal until we hear a branch break off into the distance. We all immediately froze in our tracks. "Did you hear that?" one of our friends said. It sounded like it was coming from this old abandoned shack off into the distance, a few 100 feet away. So we decided to go and check it out. Now, you might be thinking, how dumb of them to check it out. But we had about 10 to 12 people with us, so we weren't normally this brave, but we had the group mentality. Once we all get to the shack, we proceeded to just walk in since it didn't have a door. It was very old and worn down. The first thing I noticed as I walked in was this putrid smell, almost like something had just been burning there moments ago. We explored around it and inside of it until we got bored, and then one of our friends suggested that we go down Devil's Stairs. Immediately, my heart started racing. That was the last place I wanted to go. I was genuinely scared. That's where most of the satanic rituals would happen from what I heard. That's where most of the bodies were found from what I saw on the news. That was the last place I wanted to step foot on. So I tried to convince them that it was getting kinda late and that we should go back, or that I was hungry and I wanted some food. And as expected, most of my friends just called me a pussy and told me to harden up and that we should just go down them anyways. So I guess I just followed along. We started our descent down these stairs. Obviously everyone was counting the stairs out loud. Keep in mind we had about 10 to 12 people, so we were not quiet, and anyone or anything down there had definitely already heard us or spotted us. By the time we got to the bottom of the stairs, we had all roughly counted about 366 steps, give or take. When the first person got to the last step, he turned around to look at us and tell us how much he had counted. But then, he looked so scared, the fear in his eyes like I had never seen before, and he yelled out, "Run!" We all turned around, only to see a shadowy silhouette, or a figure of some sort. It was blocking our only way to get up. The top of the stairs was the only exit, so we all had to keep going down, and we all sprinted so fast, down to where all the rituals had taken place, the cement pad. Once we all caught up with each other and regained our breath down there, we looked around and then looked to our feet. Sure enough, there was a bunch of chicken feathers, goat hairs, bones, burnt marks, and a lot of pentagrams written in red. By this point, we were all freaking out. Some of us were even crying. Suddenly, we all froze as we heard rattling in the bushes all around us from every angle. We seemed to be surrounded, one of my friends said. I thought in my head, yeah, no kidding. Now what do we do? Moments later, 10 shadowy figures emerged from the shadows of the bushes all around us. They were wearing occult-like robes in full red. We couldn't see any of their faces because it was still very dark, but we immediately knew what they were. Oh God, Satanists. The girls all started screaming frantically and panicking. They started begging for their lives. I found this annoying because if they wanted to spare us, they would do it on their own terms, not because somebody was begging them to. All at the same time, the Satanists simultaneously pointed straight at us and started screeching and almost screaming at us to get out. It was the most haunting screech I had ever heard in my entire life. We didn't have to be told twice, so we all immediately sprinted back up the stairs. The shadowy figure was not there anymore, guarding it. So, we went all the way back up and to our cars. Once we all got in, we immediately locked the doors and tried to catch our breath. What just happened? After we regained our composure, we realized we were missing 2 people. One of our friends, Janet, and the other guy, Tom. We all started asking each other, "Wasn't he with you? I could have sworn I saw him running up next to you," or this and that. But that still wasn't bringing them back. After about 20 minutes of bickering and waiting, we see 2 figures approaching off into the distance from the dark. It was Janet and Tom, but what was the most odd is that they were walking towards our car so calmly and slowly, and I know for a fact Janet and Tom were one of the 2 people that were screaming and panicking the most. Once they got to our car and we let them inside, we immediately started bombarding them with questions. What happened? Where were you guys? Why'd you guys take so long? Did they do something to you? Are you guys okay? They didn't seem fazed with anything we were asking them, and they answered everything calmly, like, yes, we're fine. And no, they didn't do anything to us. We are completely fine. But the weird part was, they both had the same monotone voice, almost like an empty, soulless shell of their former selves. Ever since that day, none of us have ever even dared to drive near that park again.